Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Sherlock Holmes, Chapter 1. So, Sherlock Holmes is not the first game in this Sherlock Holmes series by the developer, but let's talk about that for a second. So, if you excuse me, I'm going to Alt-Tab. This is a game developed by Frogwares, the same team who did The Sinking City, and boy does that show. The code was generously provided to me by the developers themselves to take a look at the game, and along with it came a sort of brief description of it. So, it is, I'm going to share it with you, of course, it is a open-world, no-hand-holding detective sleuthing. For those of you less, also for non-native English speakers, I suppose, sleuthing is a detective game, basically. And a rather dark story about what could have happened in Sherlock's early life that later led to him being such a flawed and destructive genius. Now, I'm going to resist every single urge in my body that makes me want to talk about Arthur Conan Doyle and his Sherlock, and well, rather the original Sherlock, and focus on the game as is. So this is a very young, still not fully formed Sherlock Holmes as a result of the game. It's called Chapter 1. But like I said, this is not the only Sherlock game. There is also another one developed in 2014, if I remember, and this is the last time I'm going to Alt-Tab. I just want to check that to make sure I'm not spewing nonsense. Either way, whilst I'm doing that, let's take a look at the character and the world and the graphics and so on and so forth. This is on the highest possible graphic settings, and, well, the game looks nice. Stylistically, it works as a detective story. Some areas are particularly well lit, and I don't mean that in the sense of they're bright. Well, I mean, some areas are bright, as you can see, but there is contrast later down the line as well. And yeah, it's visually it works. It's not the most, amazing of graphical fidelities for sure, but like I said, it gets the job done. The game is set on an island. It's called the Grand Sarai. No, it's called Concordia, and Concordia, something else from a different video I did, or I was planning on doing today. So, the Isle of Cordona is a pretty large place, honestly. Currently, we are in this hotel, the Il Palazzo del Lusso, and it's a pretty, grand old hotel, but the map, generally speaking, is huge, especially for a game of this type. Now, what is a game? What is this game's type? Well, there is combat in the game, and I think that should be emphasized. However, the focus is not on the combat. The focus is basically on this: reading notes, documents, and interacting with the casebook and your mind palace. Coming straight out of Arthur Conan Doyle, but I said I wouldn't mention him. Now, you can receive help here for different clues, but you also do deductions. Now, this is how you examine the clues that you find eventually. You choose the current case. There are multiple. You select the clue and you You select the clue and you combine it with a relevant one, and you either get evidence or you make a new deduction. It's fairly simple, but it's relatively simple because it's all sort of laid out for you in your mind palace. The challenge is finding the clues. Like the description said, there is no hand-holding. I mean, there are some basic objectives to sort of roughly guide you along the way, but for all I know, I could discover a murder in this palace, and it could be, or in this hotel, and it could be something completely unrelated to the main case, or it could tie into the main case later, or I can entirely miss the murder and, go through the game without it. You don't know. There is no hand-holding, and what is very important, two things. First of all, there is no obvious gamey highlighting. For example, this is room 227. I think this is my room. However, I can't seem to get inside it. You can also sprint, which, thankfully is a thing. Did they set me up in 229 or 227? I'll have to take a look, but, go downstairs. If you do get bored of all the travelling around, there is also another option.
Hurry up, Sherlock, I want to see our room.
Okay, we'll see our room. I probably should have paid more attention when he said Room 221, sorry, I thought it was 227 for some reason. Okay, room 221, we're going there. There is a fast travel mode, but this is not the... I mean, I don't personally fast travel. I understand why someone might want to fast travel a little bit more often in a game like this, due to, you know, the sheer size of the map and the sheer amount of looking around that you have to do in detail, which, in my modest opinion, is the game's greatest strength. Now, it's not for everyone. I generally play games like this.
I apologise, sir, but your room is not yet ready. Perhaps, in the meantime, you would like to relax in the foyer? Tonight, the restaurant is offering a complimentary marlin ceviche to all our guests.
Let's check what they have on offer.
Okay, you teleported over here. Very nice and convenient of you. You get used to that. It's not terrible. By the way, I should have mentioned this is the very beginning of the game, so the first 10 minutes. The reason being, I don't want to spoil anything. This is a heavy story and exploration-driven game.
Just our luck.
So, yeah.
If seafood's not to your taste, everyone loves Benedict's batch. Our poached eggs with hollandaise sauce.
Is that a reference to Benedict Cumberbatch? I'm gonna assume that it is, given the fact that he played Sherlock multiple times, I think? Either way.
Hey, Sherry. Just our luck.
Either way, the game's difficulty is something that you can heavily customize, and I don't think you can change it mid... Oh, you can. That is awesome. And you can also... So you have presets, and you can also do this. Decision-making time, chemical analysis, interactive icons, investigative process notifications. You can turn all of this off. Give you little decision-making time and making chemical analysis hard. This is kind of how I would recommend to play this game if you really are into sifting through every detail of every bit of the map and playing this game for a exceedingly long amount of time. If you're more sort of there for the story and the key points of the game, you might want to turn some of this stuff off. But the option, the fact that the option exists, is really, really nice. Combat is also something you can skip. So you also have damage received, enemy stun duration, snuffbox recharge rest bonus. Not quite sure how this plays into the combat, honestly, but yeah. You can also skip combat entirely, which, again, the fact that the option is there is, well, quite neat. Anyways. Oh, and the fact that you can change them on the fly. Very, very nice. As far as the main characters and their design go, well, like I said, young Sherlock. Look, call me a traditionalist, but there are a very select few people who can play Sherlock Holmes in my book. Benedict Cumberbatch, Robert Downey Jr., and, you know, the list pretty much ends there, more or less. Maybe a few more. David Tennant, I think, could pull off an alright Sherlock, but as far as video game characters are concerned, you kind of get used to him. I'm really digging the outfit. The face and the hair, I mean, the hair's alright, the face is a little bit, I don't know, not really doing it for me in the detective sense, but I guess that makes sense because this is a young Sherlock, and it's sort of not supposed to look like a grizzled veteran, or, I mean, definitely not a grizzled veteran, but maybe he's not supposed to look like he's all that competent either.
If seafood's not to your taste, everyone loves
Can I actually
Benedict's batch.
try the aforementioned thing? No? Okay, a letter lost in the hotel. Actually, I haven't read the letter. I'm going to do that. Casebook. John found an advertisement in the hall and wants me to take a look.
Eggs with
Didn't I already take a look? Oh, I clicked on John instead of this. Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit, you know.
Come on, it's not like we've got anything better to do.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir, but I believe Mr. Galich is conducting a séance at the moment. Perhaps you'd care to have your portrait drawn while you wait?
Why? Pardon me? Why should I sit for a portrait?
Sir, it's art. It doesn't need a why. It is its own justification.
Okay.
All things require justification, be they objects, systems, or beliefs.
How about art as the lens through which we see the truth of the world?
That's backward. Truth is not subjective and not complicated. It's just the truth. It either is or it isn't. You do not need a lens to see it, just an open mind.
Ha! That seems rather close-minded. Truth, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what do you see?
And if anything, this whole case and this whole game should teach you
Mediocrity.
precisely that.
Come
But
now,
you would
Sherry,
expect
what
a
did he
detective
do
to say
deserve
something like that.
The servant mentioned ceviche at the bar, Sherry. You should grab us some, and I'll find us a table. I'm starving.
Okay.
Okay, time to check if John found us a nice table.
If seafood's not to your taste, everyone loves Benedict spatch. Our poached eggs with hollandaise sauce.
No, he said he'll find us a table. I guess here's the first mystery. Where's the table? Okay.
Sherry,
we go.
I'm over here.
Cordona's even quieter than I remembered. It's going to be a long evening.
Ah, come now, Sherry. What say we amuse ourselves with a little game?
What were you thinking? Oh, promise me it isn't nonsense. After being cooped up on that boat, I am itching for activity.
No. As you can see, someone left a cane on our table. I simply thought you could identify its owner.
Oh,
So
that
it
is a
is
direct
nonsense.
reference to the Hound of Baskerville.
Take me a minute on it.
That is very
Well then,
nice.
You can deliver it to him as well.
Deliver it to him. Then what are the staff here for? Aesthetics?
Stubborn, Sherry. Too stubborn. You wanted something to do.
Slapping oneself in the face is also something to do. That doesn't make it worthwhile. But all right.
Okay, there's scratches left by a dog, and by the size of the paw and the size of the scratches, he can identify the size of the dog, and yada yada yada. It's
The cane is made of ebony. It's worn uncared for and bears the scars of numerous hits.
numerous hits. There you go. I think at the hilt, there's
crest
also something.
depicting A bulb of garlic in a meadow, perhaps the Fielding family or Meadows. The hand grip is a head of a golden Javanese statue, probably stolen from a temple. The dents suggest it has been used as a bludgeon. This cane is an expensive and ostentatious weapon. Its owner must be vain, volatile, and of noble English blood.
Take it with you, Sherry. Let's return it to its owner.
Oh, no dog
Right.
mark,
I
no
hope
scratch
you
marks
noted
from the
down your
dog.
observations in your casebook. But how are you going to find this nobleman?
The cane itself is not enough. I may
It
have to
was
ask
enough
the
in the
guests
Hound
if
of
they saw
Baskerville.
those
I don't like this game anymore. I'm kidding, obviously. It's very neat. It's very neat that they sort of pay homage and respect the original material from like I said, Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah, it's cool. So here we have the casebook, and you can see a whole bunch of other stuff opened up. You can pin evidence. You can place it on the map. You can play around with the whole detective thing. It really does give you a lot of options. One thing that maybe I would have liked is a notebook of sorts. Now, obviously, there is a notebook of sorts here. But what I mean is maybe a sort of space to type in our own observations and stuff, and maybe if you suspect someone of something. I think later down the line it would add sort of semi-artificially, but it would add sort of a deeper layer to the game, especially if you really want to take it seriously and go through it and, you know, treat it like a proper detective game. But I've showed you some of the gameplay, I showed you the visuals, the cutscenes. That's basically it. The combat is rare, it's far and few in between. Mostly you're going to be walking around, talking to people, and it's going to be like that. So it's not the most action-packed game. The action really comes from the exploration, and it is really rewarding, especially when you find some bigger evidence, bigger clues, etc., etc. And when you know, trek from one end of the map to the other to find something, it's quite the journey, and you know, it works. It is a grand game in both the scale and both the way it does things, but like I said, it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to. Actually, let's open this up and see. The Lost Game. John was finding out to show. I also have to inquire with other guests in the foyer as to who might have been sitting at the table. Okay. Nope. 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 Hello? Hello? Nope. Okay. Oh, am I supposed to pin the evidence first? I thought I could talk to them first, and not really. Okay, yeah, sure.
Pardon, monsieur, but I am not in the mood to talk.
Of course you're not.
Excuse me, just one question.
Friend, you're lucky there is something I know about this.
Oh, awesome. There were 3 people at the table, a couple, and a retired Navy officer. Observers weren't sure what happened to the couple, but the Navy officer was seen going out to the front garden for some air. I have to find him.
Oh, even
Okay.
with your keen senses, Sherry, I doubt you'll find the cane's owner on your first try.
And would you be confident enough to bet on it, my friend?
Why not? Let's see how good you really are.
Okay. Don't give the pin relevant. Some clues won't be visible without it. Try and find the former Navy officer. Former Navy officer. Out here for some fresh air. Are you, perchance, a former Navy officer?
Not that one, huh? You lost the bet, Sherry, but don't let that stop your search for the Navy officer.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a shame. What about you?
Could you help me?
My dear fellow, you're talking to the right man.
The Navy officer, Mr. Rhodes, was sitting at our table and the noble couple. Sorry, with the noble couple. The men talked about yachting, and the lady was fidgeting with her cane. Perhaps she put it aside, and her husband forgot to take it when they went to meet the medium. Oh, now I have a perfect excuse to enter the seance room.
Hey,
there we go.
Sherry, don't we now have the perfect excuse to visit the seance?
I'm just going to give the cane to its owner. You will not persuade me to take part in this show.
Alright, there you go. That is, generally speaking, how the game will work. You will go from one person to another, from one clue to another, and try and unravel the mystery. Or the mysteries, rather. There will be multiple. It's going to be a rather brief video today. Maybe it may not be the only video today, but it will be a rather brief video. I haven't talked to you about the most important thing in the video game, though. It has a wardrobe. Oh, yes, it has a wardrobe, and you can probably eventually find a top hat. This automatically makes it a 10 out of 10 game on my Steam recommendation page. I think these are the different outfits you can choose here on the side. But you can customize like this as well, and you also can customize your friend, John, eventually, one would assume. Alright, I think that's about it, as far as the game is concerned. I'm pretty sure I've covered damn near everything. Oh, there is one final thing to take a look at, if you excuse me for a second. The game currently, on the Steam page, which I've just opened, is €49, I think, at least regionally for me. Yeah, oh, sorry, it's €45 for me. The deluxe edition is 60. Oof. Okay, so it is pricey. It's not a full $60 game, but it is pricey. With such a price, it's, well, first of all, you have a pretty darn big responsibility when you're recommending it to someone or not. That is a high price. I think if you've loved The Sinking City, and if you've played the first Sherlock game by the same developer, this is definitely up your alley. It is just a marked improvement on the first one, and it just, expands it, makes it better in pretty much every way. It's very similar to The Sinking City, except it is a different setting. So The Sinking City was more sort of Lovecraftian, this is more Arthur Conan Doyle. If you love the Sherlock Holmes novels, I think you'll fit right in. As you can see, they clearly have a lot of respect for the original Sherlock material, the cane being an obvious reference. So yeah, I definitely would recommend this if you're interested in something like that. Also, maybe if you like games such as LA Noire, where there's investigations, it's not a detective game. If you like that, then you're probably going to like this as well. However, if you're coming into this game for a more action-oriented detective game with that's maybe a little bit faster paced, you will be disappointed, because this is not the kind of game where you get frustrated because you can't find the right door. No, this is the kind of game where you take every step slowly and try and notice every single detail in the hotel, because, eventually maybe the fact that this fern was moved out of the way will become relevant to the case. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but
Do you know anything about
it
this?
might also...
I would help you if I knew so.
It might also be relevant. At least tiny details like that, not necessarily the fern. That would be a bit much, but you get the point. So, ultimately, I find nothing obviously wrong with the game, except for the performance, which... well, let's chalk it up to me recording, which doesn't exactly help the performance, but, it's not visually the most stunning game, not the most demanding game, though it is a massive, massive map. I'm getting some dips in the frame rate from 50 to 30. It goes up and down quite a bit, so yeah, it's not ideal.
Your room is upstairs, sir. Number 221.
Okay, but that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sherlock Holmes, my first impressions and sort of first look into it. Like I said, I didn't want to spoil anything of the game, so you will find out everything yourselves if you decide to play it.
Can you satisfy my curiosity? I have nothing to hide, sir, but I've never heard of this.
There you go. That's about it for now, though. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions about the game, if you have any questions about anything related to this video, feel free to ask them down in the comments below. I respond to pretty much every comment, as far as, as long as YouTube permits it. But that's about it for now. Until next time, have fun, take care, bye-bye.